I didn't look back and see how many people were here. And kind of get a flutters. But good evening. As was said, I am Chief Master Sergeant James Robert Shaw, named after my great-grandfather and my grandfather, one on each side of the family. In Ryan, South Carolina. Never heard of that. It was named after a wealthy man that decided to settle down in that area, and there's a rock quarry in that area when I was growing up. I can remember times that, especially the boys, we would sit on the top of the hill, and as the trucks would leave, we would look at the license tags and see, where is that truck from? Is that New York, Maryland, all over that they came to pick up blue granite from Ryan. So a lot of people knew about us that was in that building trade because they really came and got that stone. I think, I know I probably would have rather been born somewhere else at that time. There was a very significant event happened in Rhine on July 29th, 1934. I was born. Things was not too good being having this color of skin in South Carolina at that time. I wonder how I managed to be at the top of the enlisted ranks in the Air Force after having attended a church for the first six years of my elementary schooling, 2 teachers, 6 grades, and that was it in that community. No high school in the community, 7 miles away to the 7th grade when you finish the 6th. So, to my knowledge, the only 2 people out of my 6th grade class that went on to the 7th grade was myself and a cousin of mine. I lived 1 mile from the bus stop. It had both the Trailways and the Greyhound that made those stops. So we would walk, she lived half a mile, so I would walk up to her house, she'd come out, and we'd walk that last half a mile to catch the bus to go to the 7th grade. Once we got off at the bus station, we had another half mile to walk to get to school. We did that through the whole 7th grade, 25 cents each way. And that was a big expense on our family at that time. To say that there was a lot of racism is an understatement. I've seen Ku Klux Klan burn crosses in front of our house and in front of a friend's house that I was visiting at. The older black man got called boy. So when I joined the Air Force and found out that there was a rank that they had that everybody called them Mr. That's what I want to be. So I wanted to be a chief, but not a chief master sergeant. I wanted to be a chief warrant officer. And they called all warrant officers Mr. I said, I want to be a Mr. Shaw. That's the rank I'm shooting for. Wouldn't you know it? The Air Force, I went in 55, and in 59 they came out with chief and senior master sergeant to replace the warrant officer. I said, okay, I have to adjust my goal and be a chief, because I actually liked, I loved the Air Force after I first got in. And I really worked on doing things to get up to the ladder so I could be a chief warrant officer. For those 3 years, I was a go-getter. So they burst that bubble, and I adjusted my goal. And I had worked on the old C-47 at Lockbourne Air Force Base up in Columbus, and that's what it was called then, for about 3 years before I got notice that time for you to go. Vietnam. It wasn't just you leave and go to Vietnam. There was a lot of training involved in getting ready to go. I had to go out to Stead Air Force Base and go through survival training. That was tough. My prison number was number 42. I heard it so much, oh, back 42. But finished that, and I had to go to Herbert Field in Florida to learn how to work on a gunship, I'll be a flight mechanic. So we're talking about at least 3 months of training before you got there. Even once you left the States, you had to go to the Philippines to go through jungle survival training. And I never forget when we went on an escape and evasion part of that, and we had seen these big animals, which were rats, running around through the jungle. I went to sleep that night. That's an officer and myself was paired to escape and evade all night. That night, I felt this grabbing my arm, and it was him, but I thought in my mind it was one of those rats. So I said, what's going on? He said, you were snoring. I didn't want the mountain, what they call them. Yeah, I think so. They didn't want them to find us because I was snoring, so made it through all that training, headed for Vietnam, landing at Tan Son Nhut. Got off the airplane and got on this bus. And why, I don't understand why they would send that bus to pick people up from just getting into the States. It had about 5 or 6 bullet holes in the windshield and some on the side of the bus as well. I know they had some other buses without bullet holes in it. But anyway, from there, we're headed for what I thought was my permanent detachment. I went in the train. That was the headquarters for the gunships. But they didn't have gunships there, but they messed my orders up and had me stationed at the train. So while I'm waiting to get the order straightened out so I can go to a gunship squad, detachment, promotion cycle came around. I went over there as a staff sergeant. First cycle, I made it. Tech sergeant. I got finally, about a month later, I went to play crew, and I'm in my right detachment now. Some of the guys say, "You are fortunate, you lucky, man. You was down in the train when the promotions to get promoted." Lo and behold, the very next promotion, they promoted me to tech sergeant again. I say, I'm good, not lucky. Okay, I had about 3 sheets of notes, but with the time limitation, what I'm going to do from this point is just give you a kind of typical spooky night. We call them spooky, puff, dragon ships, different names, different people. Well, we're stationed at Playcool, and we had pilot, co-pilot, navigator, that was the officers. Flight mechanic, which was me at that time, had 2 gunners and 1 loadmaster. And a lot of the time we had an interpreter, a Vietnamese, that flew with us. So that's the crew that we had. There was 3 crews involved every night. One to fly from dusk to midnight, and one take off before that one lands and fly to the next day, on the next light in the morning. And one was on alert. We had beds in those in the alert shack. Hello. Well, only thing we used them for was to sit on them and play cards when you're on alert until you get called to go replace that one that was coming in to reload flares or ammunition. If you're on alert, the beds, I don't know why we kept them. Nobody ever slept. You flew more when you was on alert than you did actually on what we call base camp. They called that C-47 when the first year was there, FC-47, meaning it was a fighter cargo aircraft. Pilots, no, that can't be. Not an old goony bird. You can't call it a fighter. No. So they changed it. They call it AC, meaning attack cargo. But we were very, very effective. Each one of those miniguns had two sticking out of the last. Hello. Anyway, had two sticking out of the last two windows on the left-hand side, and some on the pilot side, and one out of the door. It had a clamshell door. Two doors, one of them was taken completely off the airplane. It was the guns in that doorway with a strap across to keep you from falling out. So we had a load of flares, 60 flares, 27 pounds apiece, that you had to connect a lanyard to draw them out of that open door as we were over target. The pilot aimed the guns from an old World War II site that they took off some airplanes, and that's what used to direct the fire. One real reason that they were so effective is that instead of making a pass and going and having to turn around and come back to the target, we just circled and kept firing as you go around. So they didn't get a break away from that fire as long as the guns, you had them loaded. Very bad thing when I first got there is the gun was sticking almost straight out. And in order to aim a gun, you have to really bank that whole airplane over to direct it to the ground, to the target. So you had a lanyard hooked to your parachute harness onto the aircraft to keep you from accidentally falling out of there. I was a flight mechanic. I started off with a loadmaster who threw the flares out, but he and I went to training together down in Florida. Got to Vietnam, he was on our crew. Every time we would fly, he would break out in hives. And they would last about a week. Every time. He'd be grounded every time we would fly. So finally they sent him back home. And I was the flight mechanic / load master on my crew. We'd take off, I'm monitoring the engine to make sure everything is okay. I would then let the pilot know I'm going off headset, and I go back to the back and let them know load master's now in the position. So it was quite an experience to be part of that program, because even today they have not found a unit that was overrun when we was protecting them. Not a single one. And we actually took some day trips out to the people we supported when we was over there, and they really was appreciative of us. At that time, I was a beer drinker, and if you go to the club and they know you own Spooky, you didn't have to spend any more money. That was hazardous at times. I've come back and found bullet holes in the wings, in the ailerons. Fortunately, we had polyurethane in the tanks to keep the wing from exploding. Although the unit lost 7 airplanes that year I was there. We actually had some real good time. I ate so much steak that where we got that is the Army could get all the steak they wanted, but they couldn't get Coca-Cola. The Air Force had plenty of it. We'd take a case of Cokes and get a case of steaks. Good deal. And every time we had a steak cookout, which was real regular, we had some dogs on the base. They knew exactly where to come. And one of them, we call him Curly. Curly would be on the opposite side of the base, which was about 1.5 miles from where the enlisted lived. He would go to the bus stop. The bus driver opened the door, Curly get in. If somebody was in the seat behind the driver, they would just get up, because that was Curly's seat. Curly would jump up in his seat and ride to where he wanted off and jump down and get off the bus. So we didn't do no walking across that bay to, I'm going to catch the bus. We actually had a formal ceremony designating Curly as the base mascot. Yeah, I have slides of that at home. I did not like combat, but I wasn't afraid. I have been more afraid since it's over than I was at the time. I used to volunteer if another flight mechanic was sick and couldn't fly. The officer call and say, "We need a flight mechanic." I go. And I was ready. But I was thinking about those people out in the places that we flew over and trying to get them back home. All right. Thank you.